Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the topic of negotiation. So we wrapped up the elicitation process and now we are moving towards the negotiation. That means we're looking at the elicited requirements and there might be potential conflicts. So we are talking about ways to resolve those conflicts as well as negotiations in general. So why should we care about negotiations at all? So let's have a little bit of a general look at this first before we go into details of conflict management and negotiations for requirements in particular. So at the end of the elicitation process, you have elicited a lot of requirements. But the interpretation of those elicited requirements may uncover conflicts between stakeholders. And a conflict, for the sake of keeping it very simple, we define as contradictory demands in the context of the requirements for your project. So example, stakeholder A wants the system to shut down in case of a failure. Stakeholder B wants the system to restart in case of failure. And this is obviously a very simple and easy example that can be resolved in many, many ways, and where you probably don't really have to take a lot of time to resolve that conflict, but you still have to do it because otherwise you have two requirements that you cannot implement at the same time. So you have to do something about this. So first, you look at all the requirements that you elicited, and then you try to figure out, is there a conflict? Are there things that are exclusively that cannot be implemented at the same time? So find all of those, put them on a list, and then resolve them one by one. And this is what we're talking about in this lecture primarily. These unresolved conflicts threaten the project because they erode support by stakeholders if they don't feel heard and if they don't feel like the conflict was resolved in such a manner that everyone is happy. Once again, we have talked about this in the previous lectures a lot. One of your main jobs as a requirements engineer is to make all of your stakeholders happy, or at least keep them happy so that their continuous involvement is secure. So make sure that they still support the project. Losing in quotation marks, side in a conflict may cease to support the project. So make sure that a conflict is resolved in a nice manner so that everyone feels like, yeah, okay, this works. And we'll have a look at different conflict management techniques in the next video. The conflicts may also provide opportunities because they force thinking about new concepts and solutions. Initially, everyone just gives you the requirement, what do I want? But if you then tell them, look, this doesn't work like this, or there's a conflict, that might result in new, better requirements than you initially had. So what are the goals of the negotiation phase? Resolve the conflicts between stakeholders. At the end, you should have no conflicts left, because if you have conflicts left, you cannot build that system. So even if a conflict cannot be resolved, negotiation helps with the acceptance. Losing party was involved and knows the reason why they do not get the feature they wanted. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, look, we can only do one, and someone has to say, I give up, but in a hopefully good manner. And then gain a common and agreed upon understanding of the requirements. Negotiation is closely related to the validation phase that we're going to talk about later. So this is why negotiation is relevant and what we want to achieve with the negotiation phase.